2 minutes on drug testing. As modern technology has improved, we have been able to fight pathogens and also relieve the effects of pathogens by taking drugs. These could be antibiotics or painkillers or medicines. And with drug testing, it's a very, very important regime that we need to go through to make sure that they are safe, that they are effective. We need to measure what dose is required, and we need to see if there's any side effects. And so you can imagine, particularly with the legal world we live in, if drugs were just given without being tested properly and somebody was very, very badly hurt or died, then there'd be terrible legal consequences. So we need to make sure that drug testing is reviewed very carefully. And in fact, all the time, the board want you to know that it's peer assessed, and that it means professionals are always looking to check that drugs are being tested okay. So there's the introduction. Well, what happens? Well, in order to make sure it's done safely, we want to make sure that we do everything we can before we actually give the drug to humans. So how does that work? Well, you can see here that first of all, we have laboratory testing, and that is where we put the drugs onto tissues and cells of humans, and we use computer simulations. We then move on, unfortunately, a lot of people would say, and I'd be one of them, onto animal testing, where because they're mammals and they have very similar biological systems to us, they test them on animals to see if there's any side effects, what the dosage will be, whether they're effective to them. Once that's happening, we move on to what we call clinical, keyword, clinical trials on healthy humans. And what we do, first of all, here is we give very low doses of the drug to test the waters, because we're dealing with humans now, of course. And if the drug is found to be safe, further clinical trials can be carried out. A couple of things that we need to know here are that we need to remove any bias here, and we need to make it a fair test. So what happens is we do what's called a double-blind trial. Double-blind means that the person who is being given the drug doesn't know whether they're being given the drug or not. But more important than that as well, the doctor who's giving the drugs to the person doesn't know whether it's the drug or not. So there can be no psychological imprint from the person receiving the drugs thinking, oh my goodness, he smiled at me, I must be getting the drug, or oh, he's really sad, it means I'm not getting the drug. It's completely unbiased. Nobody knows anything apart from the scientists who analyze results and then peer review it afterwards. So double-blind trials are really important. Last keyword is placebo. Placebo is something that's given which is not the drug, and the placebo effect in medicine is often one where people think they're getting the drug and it affects them. So in order to get away from that, nobody knows whether they're getting the drug or not, and we call something that isn't actually the drug a placebo, along with the drugs being tested. Nobody knows what's going on, and it means the results are fair, and hopefully the drug can be shown to be effective.